Thank you, Richard. And now we know online and digital giving has been around for a few years now, but I'm imagining that my audience here tonight are coming at this from many different levels, from the very beginning to people who have started to get to grips with it, to people who may even be quite good at it and want to pass some knowledge on to others. So I'm going to start with some opening from you. I'm going to go around the screen and just ask you to let me know where you're from and what sort of knowledge you have about this topic, just to give me some idea of where I will start and how to pitch it. Now, first on my screen, if I go around clockwise, is Chris Wright. So Chris, could you introduce yourself, please? Hi.
Hi, I'm Chris. I come from Kildwick Church. We are just beginning to open up the church to visitors. For years and years, the church has been firmly locked, and we are, or some of us are working really quite hard at getting the church open and available to visitors. We looked quite closely at contactless giving a couple of years ago, and very quickly decided that with a locked church, there really wasn't much point. We might get donations, but they were only going to be from our own congregation, who would put it in the plate anyway. So we're now looking very much more closely at that. I've got a fairly technical background myself, and I follow what's going on, I think. But the last research I did was a couple of years ago, really.
Excellent. Thank you, Chris. I'm glad you're here. Got lots of ideas for churches that have been closed for a while. We've got Chris Johnson, the two ladies over there next.
Yeah. Well, I'm Christine Johnson. I'm a church warden in All Saints Church, East Cowton, which is in the parish of the Cowtons, which is in the benefice of the Wisk, in the top right-hand corner of the diocese. And Hazel Masterman, our treasurer, is with me tonight. We're looking to the future because, you know, we need to be informed about what we can do and whether we think it's going to help us along the way. But we really don't know much about how we can achieve this. Is that right, Hazel?
That's about right, yes. That's where we stand at the moment.
Lovely. Welcome. Well, hopefully I've got lots of things for you, starting right at the beginning. So we'll give you some ideas to get going. We've got Judy next, please.
I'm an interloper from the Diocese of Peterborough.
Oh, lovely. We always like visitors. Welcome, Judy. You're very welcome. What brought you here?
Well, I've got a parish on an estate in Northampton, and I'm a digital numbskull, and I've got nobody in my parish who has any idea on digital stuff, and we're wanting to have some contactless giving. And I saw this advertised, and I've been to some of Richard's webinars and that before. He was the one who enabled me to be able to get my digital output started in services last year. So great, thanks. So I've jumped at this opportunity to learn.
Lovely. You're very welcome. Thank you. And Kath, hello.
Hello, I'm Kath. I'm from St John's Church in Wakefield, Church in the Square. And we already have a contactless machine, which is used from time to time. I've come to this to look to see the next step, sort of about getting giving on a church near you. It's a format that we're missing a major opportunity when we get nearly 400 visits to a church near you site each week, but we haven't got that magic donate button. So I'm looking for the next step.
Wonderful. Yeah, we've got lots for you, Kath, as well. Good. Thank you. Hello, Trees. You're on mute, Trees.
I'm here. Hi, Becky. I'm from St Mary's in Gomersall, near Blackheaton. I'm the only person in our church who actually is following this up, and I'm not very clued up either. we do have a donate button on our website. It's not used a great deal. I put a QR code in the church porch, and I've seen that being used. I bought a little sum up thing, but you have to use it in connection together with an iPad, and we haven't used that yet. I got it just before lockdown. We haven't used that yet, and I can't see any reason for using it. I want to have a fully fledged digital one-piece card reader in the church, and not two pieces. What you have to interconnect, and you have to be there with it.
I understand.
And I think that's about it. But I struggle with everything.
Well, you sell yourself short, Teresa. I know you've been in contact a lot to get going, and you've really worked hard in getting things going over there in Gomersall. So welcome. I'm sure we can point you in the right direction for a new machine. Liz.
Hello, I'm Church Warden at St Peter's at Gilderson. Helen is our treasurer, who's also joined. We discussed contactless prior to the pandemic, but then of course the pandemic hit. We lost our vicar and all kinds of things, so it's kind of fallen off a cliff. So I think Helen and I are keen to get this up and running, to give people who are visiting our church for whatever reason the opportunity to be able to donate if they've not got cash on them.
Lovely. Have you got anything to add to that, Helen?
Yeah, also want to look into having a donate button that we can share on social media and on the Church Near You website and what have you, and also a way of being able to charge fees for like to take wedding fees and hall rental fees and things like that. So if there was something that we can use for contactless giving and for the fee taking, that'd be useful.
Yeah, I can help you there. Ian, hello.
Hello, good evening, everybody. I'm from Holy Trinity at Lowmore in Bradford, and I've been challenged with looking into this aspect of digital giving. We realise that as a church, we don't have anything at all like this, and we realise that in the modern world now, as we live in, people are carrying less cash and pay in the most convenient way, tap and pay and stuff like that. So, especially for the larger services where people come in who are maybe not regular church people who want to come in, but they feel like they want to donate on the day, and if you like, and it's looking for reasons to make it easier for people to donate as well in that respect. So,
yeah, the easier the better. I agree.
Yes, exactly. Yeah.
Welcome.
Thank you.
I'm Sam. I'm the new curate at St Giles Church, Pontefract, ordained deacon in July. So we're looking at getting a donate button online and contactless giving in church, neither of which we have at the moment. So yeah, similar to others.
Wonderful. So you're the new boy, Sam, and it sounds like you've been volunteered for this, or you're a willing participant.
Oh yeah, no, I'm not being coerced. I am here, very willing and looking forward to it.
Fabulous. And Charlotte, welcome.
Hi, I've got a couple of parishes in Huddersfield, and it strikes me as interesting that from those who've spoken so far, it sounds as though most of you are interested and willing, even if not necessarily knowing much about it. In my parishes, they've already considered the possibility of online giving and have flatly rejected it, with all sorts of reasons like the congregation is elderly, it doesn't matter, it's too expensive, it's not practical. And I know full well that it is a good thing because I only ever travel with this and I only ever pay with this. So I guess I'm mostly looking for practical information that can possibly help me to move beyond this. We have an elderly congregation who aren't interested, therefore we don't need it, to, yes, it might be an expense, but it's worth it, and this is why. So I'm looking for practical stuff, but also hopefully for some of the reasoning around around some of the older folks who aren't interested. And if my camera goes off from time to time, don't take it personally,
No, keep it on, we're entertained. Thank you, Charlotte. And Diane, old diocesan colleague here. Nice to
Yes.
see you. How are you? All right?
I'm well, thank you. Thank you, Becky. It's good to see you. I'm Diane. I'm the new curate at St George's, Lupset, which is an estate parish in the close to the centre of Wakefield. And we're looking for cost-effective ways of doing contactless giving in particular. It's a parish where people are poor and we don't get a huge amount in at the moment on the collection plate. And we want to make it easier for people to donate without it costing too much to us as a parish. So I like Chris, I've been out of the loop for 2 or 3 years on this. I knew all about it 2 or 3 years ago, but things have moved on and I've not been paying attention to it. So I wanted to come catch up with where things are at now and look at the best options that I could present to the next PCC meeting, because we are seriously considering it, but we need to know that we're actually going to make it work financially.
Yeah, welcome. And finally, Katie, hello.
Hi, I'm from Bradford Cathedral and I've recently taken the job there. So I'm here to just learn a bit more about how I can contribute in this way. I'm the digital content assistant. So part of my job is working with the income development officer to find ways to increase online giving.
Lovely, Katie. We will connect, I'm sure, very soon in the future, so we can work together and help you generate some income. Right, let's get started. I will put on my slides here. And I always forget to click the button that says share sound, but I haven't today. There we are. Now, hopefully you can see some slides. Good, yeah, and I can see some of you too, so that looks like it's working. There we are. Okay, so let's get going. So I'm part of the stewardship and income generation team, and we've recently been reformed back into the resourcing parishes team. So we are a few more members than are shown on this slide here. But really, if you're talking about digital and contactless giving, then one of us three should be able to help you. My colleague Janet has been at the diocese for over 2 years now. She knows plenty about digital and online giving, and our new stewardship officer is Dan, who is also Reverend Dan, and he leads a lot on generosity and the theology of giving. So let me just show you this first slide, which I smiled when I heard all your introductions, because I'd already preempted some of the reasons why you were here. Nobody said it, but I just wonder whether some people had been volunteered and no one else would do it. So it was one of those questions that had been floated around the PCC. Nobody put their hand up and said, oh, I'll look at contactless machines or online giving. And so you thought, well, if no one else will, I had better do it. There might be people here who think it's about high time they got to grips with this stuff. So digital and online giving has been around a while. It's not going to go away. And societal shift towards cashless, being a cashless society, is moving far more rapidly than anyone anticipated with the lockdown and COVID and the lack of access to cash. So really, it's a really good time to get going with digital and online giving. And maybe you're here because you're frustrated at the amount of times you're in church and you have a special event and there are people who say, sorry, I can't donate. I have no cash. And that always makes me smile, because I remember the incumbent who told me that he always carries a contactless card reader beneath his cassock, and he takes great delight in surprising people when he whips one from under his cloak and they have no excuse. So we have all the answers, and hopefully I'm here to help you and hold your hand. There are, of course, a great deal of benefits contactless and online giving. We are moving far quicker into a cashless society. Current predictions are that by 2026, cash will be rare. There will be no cash points for you to get your cash from. The banks already spend £5 billion annually on maintaining their network of cash machines, which they are not going to keep doing if people aren't drawing cash out. And online and digital giving is so flexible. So I hark back to the comment of people who say, well, our congregation are old. Actually, octogenarians use the contactless and digital and direct debit giving and so on far more often than anyone would like to think. And so we, you know, keeping up with the young people is something older folk do. I would like to as well, if anyone is here with a little bit of reticence or nervousness, you've got this. Don't be afraid of the technology. Everything is there to help you. And actually, I've said this to more than one person in their journey towards being more contactless and online friendly. It's small steps. Making a small change every so often can get you to where you need to be in the end. So everything I'm about to tell you tonight, and there is quite a lot of content, please do take it in bite-sized chunks and think to yourself, what is it we can do now? What is it we can wait? And what is it we can put on the back burner? Don't expect to do everything all at once. There is a lot to take in, and small steps are definitely the way. Right, so what we're going to cover this session. As a typical teacher, I have put down what you will hear about. I changed this slide from in this session you will learn, because you don't necessarily learn it just because you've heard it, but I'm really hoping that you will learn it and that I've made it as simple and as jargon free as possible. But anyway, you will hear these 4 things. You will hear about online giving providers, banks and structures that are there for you to be able to take payments online. How to get the most from online giving, so how to promote any online giving that you have on offer. You'll know something about contactless giving solutions, and I must put a little proviso in there. Most of that section is signposting, because contactless giving solutions is one of those areas of my job that changes every single day. So I will signpost you to somewhere where you can get the best advice. And hopefully you will go away knowing something about how giving by mobile phone works, because that is a way that most people pay for things these days. Even I now have started leaving my debit cards at home and relying on my phone. I will come a cropper when my phone battery runs dead, when I've got a big shopping trolley of goods in Morrison's. But so far it's worked for me, and people are paying by mobile phone and donating more and more by mobile phone. So it's an important part of this session. So let's think about online giving then. Now, you might have come to this session thinking, oh, I need to know about digital devices, but I will be doing you a disservice if I didn't start talking to you about online giving, because this is the most flexible way of taking payments digitally from people. So we know that a contactless machine works really well when you're in church and when you're going into church, but we also know that our audience aren't necessarily going into church. We do more and more streaming online, and I've heard anecdotally, and you may reinforce this with your own experiences, that people are attending church services remotely, and probably more people than ever did walk through the church doors. So online giving is a way of giving people the opportunity to give generously to your organisation, to your church. So let's talk about online giving. Now, online giving requires quite a few different parts to it. I'm going to make this as simple as possible. And there are also places I can point you that will talk you through these steps as well. So Give a Little is the name of the online giving provider that the Church of England prefer us to use. They've gone through rigorous tests in order to show that they can cope with the demand from the Church of England, but also Archbishop's Council is so invested in Give a Little, they are paying churches monthly subscription for them. So this is how it presently stands. You will need a SumUp account to set up a Give a Little account. So if you've got a SumUp card reader, you will already be able to set up a Give a Little account online. SumUp is the banking bit of online giving, and Give a Little is the app bit that takes a payment. So they both work in partnership together. One can't work without the other. If you've already got the banking bit, the sum up bit, it's just one very little step to set up your Give a Little account afterwards. And I'll show some graphics very soon to show you what that looks like. At the moment, it costs £10 a month to have a Give a Little account. And for that, you get the premium version, which means when a donor makes a gift, they can give their gift aid information. So that information is captured, church treasurer or your gift aid officer to claim gift aid back on their gift. As I said, it's currently, that £10 a month is currently being paid for by Archbishop's Council until December 2021, it should say. I think I put a dot there instead of a 1. So that's until the end of this year. And you do have fees of 1.95% to pay per transaction, and that is payable at source. So when somebody gives £10, 1.95% is taken off by Give a Little for the cash handling, and that is standard across the banking industry, that a transaction is taken per electronic transaction, and actually 1.95% is a very favourable rate. It's rare to get anything under 2%. It's just that Sum Up and Give a Little have worked hard with the Church of England to get that price down. I think it's economies of scale. Now, there's an added complication. We think in the Stewardship Network that from December 2021, Archbishop's Council will withdraw that funding because the parish giving scheme will be offering a very, very similar service. They will be able to take one-off donations from anybody who wants to donate to your church, and that is due to start in 2022. My theory is that Church of England, Archbishop's Council, will be investing in the PGS, parish giving scheme, as opposed to having a third party who, let's face it, have done a great job at standing in the interim time that it's taken parish giving scheme get round taking one-off donations. And those of you that are familiar with PGS know that it is a monthly or annual donation system, and that there is no mechanism for people to give one-off gifts as yet, but that is due to change. PGS is fabulous because there then will be no £10 a month, and there will be no fees of 1.95%. So I'm going to try and convince you that the PGS is a really good scheme just for this alone. More will come in the presentation. I hope that's clear. Right, so everything that's going to follow now, there are walkthrough videos on the parish buying website, and the link is on this slide, and the slides will be available on the website for you after this presentation, so you can click through and have a look for yourself. To set up a Sum Up account is really, really easy. That's the first step, to set up the banking bit of this online page. Then to set up a Give a Little account is just one more step. It's a little bit more paperwork, and this is what you get. When you've set up a Give a Little account, you get a page that looks like this. And if I can do it, I tell you what, anyone can do it. It took me half an hour of my time. I just had to have a couple of trustees' information from the Diocesan Board of Finance. And here is our giving page for the diocesan links that we support in, is it Sudan? I can't remember now, Sudan, I think. I was asked by one of the cathedrals to set this page up because at the end of one of their services, they wanted people to be able to donate to the diocesan links. And this is what it looks like. And most people's look exactly the same. You can change the colour and the background, and you can change the amounts on each of those buttons too once you've got your own set up. Now, most importantly, once you've got this page set up, you have a URL, which I'm told stands for Uniform Resource Locator, which is basically just the web page. It points people to this page, and there it is circled at the top. Now with that, you can do endless amounts of things. You can put donate buttons here and there. You can push it on your social media channels. You can put it into newsletters. And actually, if I go back again, that URL you can convert into a QR code as well. I'll show you very soon how to do that, which you can put on posters up in church, and people can scan with their phone, be taken to this page and donate with their phone. So setting up an online account is absolutely brilliant to capture donations from people who may visit the church or may not, because they may see this link at the top of the page, they may click through and give you a donation, and they may not have even stepped into church. Right, I'm just going to show you a very short film about the parish giving scheme, because this also links into what I've just been talking about with Give a Little. So remember I said that by December 2021 and early 2022, that's the anticipated date for the PGS to launch their one-off giving mechanism. And I feel pretty sure that most of you know what the parish giving scheme is. This is just a 2-minute video just to recap. I think it's worth 2 minutes just to watch it, because if you're not familiar with the parish giving scheme, or it's gone a bit rusty in your mind, it will refresh how it works.
The Parish Giving Scheme, or PGS for short, is a simple and easy way for you to support your local church. Using a professional donation management system, PGS offers a secure way for your church to receive gifts and gift aid on a regular basis. So how does it work? Honouring the first fruits principle, gifts are sent to the PGS on the 1st of the month via direct debit. The gift is then forwarded to your church by the 10th of the month, and any eligible gift aid is sent separately once received from HMRC. You can make changes to your giving whenever you want, simply by contacting the PGS support team. You can also choose to have your gift automatically increase each year in line with inflation. PGS helps reduce the burden on our church volunteers, provides a professional service to its givers, and most importantly, helps parishes fund their mission and ministry. PGS, the better way to encourage giving in your church.
So I'm sure that animation was familiar. I have to stop sharing in order to move on from a slide that has a film. Now, of course, the PGS presently work because they take gifts each month and annually, in some people's cases, if they choose to give a gift each year. But of course, that's all due to change. They will take one-off gifts at the end of the year, and the benefits of that are not to be underestimated. So presently, the PGS have a page for every single church in the Church of England, and yes, yours will be on here. So if you decide, if you've got half an hour free and you are so inclined, you can go on the PGS website and look at yourself. You can find your church by typing in a church or a town in your area, for example, and it will show you a number of churches within a 5-mile radius. And I just did a quick search when I was preparing these slides for churches around Ingleton, and here we have a selection of churches that I could give to or not, because you will see, whilst Ingleton St Mary's are registered with the PGS and I can donate, Thornton, Burton and Chapel-le-Dale are not registered, so I can't donate. So if I was sat at home thinking, oh, I've heard about the church's work and I really would like to support them in X, Y and Z, and I went onto the PGS website to give my gift, I could, but only if they were registered. So I think I'm getting the point home there that if you're not registered, do register, because then you're online and anybody who wants to find you and give you a gift can do so. And you don't have to do any work whatsoever. Joining PGS only involves 3 pieces of paper. Janet does all the rest, my colleague, and away you go. Even if you don't want your regular givers to use the PGS, it's a no-brainer. You've got online presence for free. So I would definitely say sign up, go for it. And what can you do with that afterwards? Well, Here we go. This is Ingleton, who are already registered with the PGS. I told you earlier on that the URL at the top of the Give a Little page is important because you can post it anywhere. It's exactly the same with the PGS page. You can, if you're already registered for the PGS, you can post that URL on any newsletter, poster, on social media, on your website, and people can be directed to here, the Give Now. And it's easy. It's easy. Once you get to the web page on PGS, you just click the button that says Give Now, and it takes you through a couple of steps. You put your bank details in, and away you go. Like I say, it is for monthly or annual gifts at the moment, but it will all change very soon. Now, moving on to a Church Near You page. Once you set up your online giving account, whether you choose to do Give a Little or Parish Giving Scheme, it would be a travesty not to publicise it on a church near you. So here I've taken a small screenshot from St Robert's in Pannell near Harrogate, and they've done a little talky bit, and in the resource section of a church near you, there is a widget, a button, that enables you to put a Donate Now button, and that's here. And behind that widget, it's very easy to do because it talks you through it as you go through that, putting the widget on your page. You put your URL for either your Give a Little page or your Parish Giving Scheme page. So it's entirely up to you, whichever online provider you choose to go with. You advertise it on your Church Near You page, as simple as that. And it really is easy. You can't put the widget on there without putting a URL behind it, and it talks you through. Sounds complex, it really isn't. Everything's very evident on the screen. So if I went to a church near you and found St Robert's in Pannell, and I decided to donate through this way, I would be taken to their Give a Little page. They haven't linked it to PGS. It's entirely their choice. The other thing you can do with your URL, and this is hugely valuable, is put it behind a widget or a button on your web page. So if you've got somebody in your community that does your web page for you, it will be a piece of cake to do this. This is Bardsey with East Keswick, and like I am really, really impressed with this page, because as soon as I land on this page, I can see straight away what they're about. But most importantly, for a fundraiser like me, how exciting to have ways to give and donate on the landing page. It's not done by many churches, but it is done by every single charity that I've ever known that are outside the church sector. Now there's a big discrepancy there, and I would say don't feel embarrassed about putting a Ways to Give or Donate Now button on the front page of your website, because the chances are somebody is just visiting your website to find out how to give. And if you make it as frictionless as possible, you're more likely to get that donation. If they have to search around to find that button within pages and pages and links, they may lose interest before they get there. Or even worse, if you haven't put a Donate Now button anywhere on your website, they won't find it and they will not donate, which would be a shame. And we're not necessarily talking about your church congregation. We're talking about visitors or your community who want to give, and this is their preferred way of giving. Now, this is a good part to talk about the online giving trio. In fact, what I'll do, because I've seen a red button at the top of my screen, I will pause and just ask Richard, is it a good time to answer some of these questions, Richard, or are you okay?
But I don't think we've got any questions in the chat box yet, Becky.
Oh, right, I've got them in direct message. That's what it is. Okay, I will answer them because I think they're quite generic. Yes, I would be prepared to give this presentation to PCCs. I have several presentations that people find really interesting and engaging, different topics, so I can talk to you about that. And somebody asked about how people would know the difference between Give a Little and the parish giving scheme. Actually, it doesn't matter. It doesn't matter. If you take them to a giving page of any kind, and it makes it easy for them to give by putting their details in, it doesn't matter who's taking their money, they've given their gift. And you can rest assured in the knowledge that the checks to ensure that the checks not as in the banking checks, the checks as in the security features of setting up an online giving account are quite rigorous, so that people are not going to be giving to a dubious organisation. They're going to be giving to you. If they land on the page that your web page directs them to, it doesn't matter who's taking the money. It is that it is risk and it is secure. And all the online giving providers that I'm talking about tonight have passed all of that. They have to. They're banking industry standard. So it's not an industry for cowboys. The only problem you can run into is if somebody directs your audience to their own giving page that they've set up. But it's not been a feature in any of the Church of England giving pages or donate buttons that I've ever come across. So it's very, I would say it's very secure. So the online giving trio, let's hope we can do this. We've talked about the online giving provider. So we've got our Give a Little account set up. Maybe we're going to go with the PGS. We're going to wait for a while and go with the PGS. And maybe some churches have got Things or Gift as their online provider. I'm not going to talk about those tonight because I don't think they're as good as Give a Little or PGS. But if you've got them up and running in your church, then by all means, count it in as an online provider. What do you need to do with this then? You need to have online presence. Okay, it's one thing getting set up online, it's another thing making sure people know about it. So I showed you very quickly where to put these donate buttons on a church near you, on your website, and of course you can put it in newsletters and pew sheets. You can convert the URLs into QR codes. You can publish yourself on social media with the link to the page, and put up posters in church for people to either scan or visit, or a web page that they can visit and donate. But crucially, all of that still relies on a little bit of self-promotion. We still need to talk to our audience about how good we are. Now, it's not about bragging, it's about saying how good, how God is working through us in our communities to do his work. And so sharing that information with people is the thing that will trigger that generosity button. That will make people think, oh, I'm going to donate. I think that's a great thing that they're doing. Or, oh gosh, the church spire is falling down, or they need new heating, which is usually the case with church repairs, heating or building repairs. And people want to donate if you tell a good story. So the trio is all part of the same. You can't really do one without the other two. I hope that makes sense. So we've talked a little bit about providers and the presence. We haven't talked so much about promotion. So I'm going to go into that now. Now, those of you that have seen the National Giving Strategy will have heard that it's a MINT idea. And it's a very corny acronym, which stands for Mechanism, Impact, Need and Trust. And the idea bit stands for Inspire, Disciple, Embed and Activate. Now, we're not going to do the idea bit, but we are going to do the MINT bit, particularly the last three, because we've already done the mechanism bit. We need to talk to people about the impact of our work, about the need of our organisation, and we also need to convince them that they can trust us. We're a trustworthy organisation that's doing good stuff in their community. Now, how do we do that? Well, think of impact reporting as the stories that people tell about what has been done for them. Now, whenever I go to churches and I talk about MINT idea, and I know Kath has heard this presentation before, I go scouting around their web pages to see what stories they're telling. And I go looking at their social media to see how people are hearing them. And it's quite rare to see a church that is really showing off. It's quite rare. I think that's our modesty. I've just gathered a few pictures here that I've come across in the year and a half that I've been doing this. And these are lovely Facebook posts and Twitter posts of churches doing things in the community, which really do make a difference. Now, the stories alone are brilliant, and they really do warm the heart when you read of what's going on. But without the option to donate, people still can't be generous back to you. So yes, our churches are generous to our communities. We do look after people, we feed people, we house people, and we disciple people. But it's nice for those people to be able to be generous back to us. So often I say, if you're talking a good story on social media, have that online giving page as at the bottom of that story, so people can be generous back. Give people the opportunity to thank you for your work. Now, if we're talking about need, are we telling people, are we triggering that generosity button and telling people how much the church needs their support? And I absolutely love this quote from Dr. Sam Wells from St. Martin in the Fields. I'm going to read it, and I make no apologies for reading it, because each time I read it, I still get goosebumps. If you don't give because no one's ever asked you, I'm asking you now. If you don't give regularly because you've never got round to it, I'm saying today's the day. If you don't give much because you think St. Martin's doesn't need it, I'm telling you that it does. If you don't give a lot because you don't have a lot, I'm saying your giving is something. Your giving something is an example to everyone else. If you don't give more because no one's ever said thank you, I'm thanking you right now. If you already give until the pipsqueak, I'm saying that's wonderful, and nudge the person next to you to do the same. So yeah, people need the church. People need our support for many, many different reasons. But we also need them. It's a symbiotic relationship, and expressing the fact that we need them as much as they need us isn't harmful. It only does good, and it inspires generosity. And it's a really nice, warm feeling to be that generous culture that we aspire to be by receiving as well as giving. I think that explains itself, really. Talk about the need for people to give. And finally, I won't spend too much time on this, but by making sure that you're telling stories and you're thanking people and you're telling them of where their gifts have been spent, you're inspiring their trust. You're inspiring that cycle of generosity to continue. People want to give to you because they know you're doing good stuff with their money. Keep communicating that, and don't ever apologize for saying what great stuff you're doing because of the generosity of others. Now, I said I mentioned earlier about All Hallows, St. Mary Magdalene and East Keswick. Now, I was going to click through, and I don't think that's going to click through. Go back again. Yeah, okay. So I put a link on this slide that I hoped would click through to their ways to give and donate now pages, because they really do tell a story. They still tell a story of their need in their community and how much they need people to support them, as well as giving the support that people so value. It's not going to let me click through, but if you do get the chance to look around this website, please do. I think it's probably the gold standard in a charitable giving page with the church at the heart of it. I'm sorry it doesn't click through. When you see the slide yourself, you will be able to have a look. So what sort of language are people using then when they're inspiring people to give, when they are expressing the need, and they're inspiring people to want to give and be generous to them? Well, here's just a few examples. Some talk about need, some talk about impact. St. Mary's Church relies on the generous donation of time, talents and money by individuals to maintain its fabric of ministry. Please visit our donation page to make a gift to our church, or scan the code below with your phone. That was from a poster that was put up at the back of church for people, visitors, or even people who wanted to give a one-off gift to do so. The missional work of St. John's would not be possible without the generous and thoughtful donations of our community. Please visit, and there's the web link, if you would like to make a donation, and that's taken from a newsletter that goes out to the community. You know, the sorts of things with advertisements in, and it's a church magazine, it's a parish magazine by the church, but for everyone. The last one on the page is about Messy Church. This was from a social media post, and this was designed to inspire people to give. Our Messy Church had fabulous fun on Wednesday, listening to Jonah and the whale and making whale biscuits. To donate to the work of our church, including our activities for young people, please scan the QR code to be directed by the donation page. You have to be very careful with the wording, of course, because you don't want to end up with gifts that are restricted. So if you make them generic, to donate to the work of our church would cover the donation for general charitable purposes. You could spend them on the work of the church and not just children's activities. This one at the top of the page here on the right was taken from or adapted from words that were at an abbey. Have you enjoyed your visit? Our ancient building will cost us £3,000 this year to keep open, and kind support from our visitors is greatly appreciated. Please scan the QR code to donate or visit our giving page to find out how you can support our work. £3,000, I think, is for just for the heating alone. So yes, it's just telling people of the need and, of course, the reality of the costs of keeping a building open. And finally, last year, thanks to your support, we were able to, and here you can list anything that tells people about the impact of your work. We were able to minister to 400 children in church. Our vicar was able to make 17 hospital visits, or whatever you happen to be doing in your community. Just list them in numbers. It's a great way to make people think about the scale of the sort of work that you do over a year. Thank you to your generosity and continued contributions. Your kindness means we can continue to do God's great work in our community. So I wanted to put some words down for you to give you some ideas of the ways you can sell yourself. And one of the things that is I always find fascinating in fundraising is if you attribute words like generosity and kindness to and support to the people who are helping you, it makes them feel good. It makes them feel that they are generous and kind, and it just perpetuates that lovely cycle of generosity. So do use those words liberally. Keep putting them in your words and keep selling yourself shamelessly, but obviously making sure that people are aware that this work affects them and you are there for them, and the church is there for everyone. Right, we'll get on to the bit that I think most of you came for. So yeah, let's move on to contactless solutions. So we talked about the online giving bit. If your church is open and you are able to take contactless donations by card or by phone, there are a number of different options, and they change all the time, and they are for many different church contexts. Parish buying are your one-stop shop, really, for finding out what it is you need. Now, last year, Parish Buying decided that it was a really good idea to put a little filtering system at the top of their page that asked people a few questions about what it is they needed. So do you have Wi-Fi in your church? How much were you thinking of spending? And so on. And it filters down into some contactless giving solutions. So it will recommend some ideas that are suitable for your church. And here's just a few pictures. They all do different jobs for different situations. The plate obviously is great to give round during the offertory. The pay a charity is great to tap and go when you're leaving church. The machine that is the third on the screen there, along going from left to right, is a great device for taking payments in the office for fees and so on. But it also is a tap and go device and can be passed around in church as well. And the final one, very visual, which uses the Give a Little app as the screen, the screen graphic there. So it works with your Give a Little account very easy for people to just click the button and tap their phone or card at the machine at the top to give their gift. So 4 solutions there. There are at least 15 on the Parish Buying website. And my suggestion is put in the things that you want from a machine, and it will generate some ideas of what will work for you. I want to just show you a couple of films of examples of things that are going on in church. This is, I particularly like this one. It's been quite popular, I understand, quite visual, stands at the back of church and is very quick to use, so you don't end up with a queue of people as they're leaving church waiting to give, which is quite awkward. Let's see if it works. There we go. So that's the pay as solution. And it's just an example of the kind of things that you can get for church. And it also depends on completely on the context and what you want it to do for you as to the decision you make going forward. You will need some paperwork, I'm afraid. They are banking devices. They do handle cash, and they do need to check that you are who you say you are, and not a crook on the street. So there is always paperwork to fill out when you apply for one of these machines. But thankfully, Parish Buying have made it really simple and straightforward. If you apply to buy any of the machines on Parish Buying, it is all really easy to get set up and going. And lastly, although we've only got 3 minutes, I will whiz through this. Mobile phone giving. So mobile phones are used for giving now, for paying for things, as you know. They're used to give by tapping on a contactless device, as we've just seen. You can scan a QR code to be directed to a giving page. And you can give using an app, which I haven't covered so much in this presentation, but I know Gift and Things are both giving online providers that use an app, as are some church software providers. I think data developers might have an app. So if you want people to give straight into your bank and it all be uploaded into your church finance software, then your church treasurer will be advising you to use an app. And I know a lot of churches are using that. But still, if you don't want to go down the app route, because obviously you're isolating people who are just paying a one-off visit to the church, QR codes and tap and go on a contactless device are the way. This is somebody just paying by tapping a charity device. Now, most of you will know this if you pay with by phone already. When you have a smartphone, the smartphone stores your banking information, if you allow it. You don't have to allow it, so that you can pay contactlessly when you want to give or when you want to pay for something. So it's as easy as waving your phone in front of a contactless device, and it takes the donation that you've authorized for it. And this is a very quick animation of how it works, 10 seconds. And what that will do then, the phone will, I think it's the phone that will generate how much you want to give, and you click the button that says how much you want to give, £2, £3 or £5. So it's as simple and as quick as that to give by phone, assuming you've got your banking details on your phone. And here is giving using a QR code. And this is a QR code, I think, that has been goes through the Things online donation system. But QR codes can be generated from any online account, and I'll show you how to do that. It's one of the very last things I show you before you go tonight. Very easy, and it works in exactly the same way. So that person was taken to the Things donation page just by scanning that QR code and is able to make a payment using the phone information that is stored. And finally, I said the last thing I would show you before you go tonight is how to set up a QR code. If you have Google Chrome as your browser, and you open your online giving page, whether it's Give a Little or Parish Buying or Things or Gift for that matter, if you click at the top where the URL is, up comes over here a button that looks a little bit like a square with 4 squares in it. And that will ask you if you want to make a QR code. It's as easy as that. And that gets generated and it comes as a download, as a picture. And there you are. You can cut and paste that on any church literature that you have, or even on church website. And if you fancy a quick play and you've got your phone nearby, you could scan it now and be taken to the Diocesan Links donation page. It's as easy as that to make your own QR code from your online giving account. So that is that, and I know I've run over time and I really wanted to allow time for questions. So if you want to contact me after this webinar, please do. I will answer any questions that you have on online or digital giving, and if I don't know the answer, I know someone who does. I'm going to stop sharing, and if you have to go, by all means do go, but if you'd like to stay and ask questions, that's absolutely fine too.